sajivam sadvaitam savadhutam parijana sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitamscha Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurapise Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are discussing from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 2. Where we are discussing about Jadadvaita Brahmopanishadi Tadapyashatanubhaja Atmantarjami Purusheti Susyam Siddho Shreisarya Purna Jaya Bhagavan Saswayam Na Chaitanyat Krishna Jagati Pratattam Paramya. So here we have seen from the evidence of Srimad Bhagavatam, Upanishad, Mahabharata and other Vedic literatures that Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself in the guise of his devotee. And then now we are explaining how Krishna, being the source of Narayana, by referring to the prayers of Lord Brahma in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma says, Narayanastam nahi sarvadehinam Atma Shadhisha Kshaloka Sakshi. So he is saying that you are the Narayana. And how Lord Krishna is Narayana himself. So far we have discussed about the Narayanastam. And then we also discussed how he is Sarvadehinam, means how he is situated as the super soul, the witness in all living entities that we have discussed. Now, starting with today's verse, text number 37, where Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is going to explain the philosophy of Lord Brahma, where he is saying that Lord Krishna, he is the source for the complete substance, that is, you can say upadana karan, and of all living beings, and also he is the sustainer he also sustains all living entities. He is also kind of the Adhar. So in that way, this is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says to Arjuna, Gam avishya cho bhutani dharyamyaham ojasam. He's saying by infusing the earth with my potency, Gam avishya on ojasam. By my potency, I alone sustain all living beings. So this philosophy is very clearly explained in text number 37, that how Krishna actually sustains all individual living entities eh, by taking an example. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, पृथ्वी जैसे घटकुलेर कारण आश्रय जीवेर निदान तुम्हें सर्वाश्रय. As the earth is the original cause and shelter of all pods made of earth, so um, you are the ultimate cause and shelter of all living beings. Hmm. So Prabhupada says, as the vast earth is the source for the ingredients of all earthen pot. Means when you break an earthen pot, you will find only earth and earth and earth. To whatever degree you disintegrate, the remaining will be only earth. So the Supreme Soul is the source for the complete substance of all individual living entities. By reading this statement, this line from Prabhupada's purport, one should not mistakenly think that, oh, just like earth is the ingredient in all earthen pot, so similarly, Krishna loses his individuality, being distributed as the components of all complete substance. Just like earth is the component of an earthen pot. It's not like that. In case of Krishna, the philosophy should not be understood like that. So, if you see the dictionary meaning of Upadana for Krishna, is the proximity cause. Sometimes they define in the dictionary, Sanskrit dictionary, proximity cause. That means by Krishna coming in close proximity with his material nature, with his external energy, he creates all bodies for different individual living entities. That means the external energy of Krishna, which constitutes the body of the living entity, is done by close proximity of Krishna, means under Krishna's supervision. That's how Krishna is the Upadana Karana. Uh, So in that way, so he actually uh, is the complete. Krishna is the complete substance. Of course, in the understanding, Krishna's energies are different, non-different from him. The cause of all causes, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of the living entities. See, is the cause of living entities, proximity cause. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7:10, where the Lord says, Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam, I am the seat of all living entities. And in the Upanishads, which say, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. The Lord is the supreme leader among all the eternal living beings. There is only one supreme Nitya, that is Krishna, supreme Lord, who is the supremely conscious being, and by him all other eternal conscious beings are active. So, and later then further Prabhupada describes how there are gross, subtle, and spiritual manifestations, but Krishna is the source for everything. So in that way, this is the doctrine of Achintya Bheda Tattva, which states that the Supreme Lord, being the cause and effect of everything, is inconceivably simultaneously one with his manifestations of energy and different from them. This is the point. Therefore, the doctrine of Achintya Bhedavat Tattva, which is established by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has to be understood in this context that when Prithvi Jaiche, just like earth is the cause of the earthen pot, similarly Lord Krishna is the cause of the complete substance of all living beings, and also he maintains and he sustains all living entities. Then text number 38 says, नार शब्दे कहे सर्व जीवेर निचय अयन शब्दे ते कहे तहार आश्रय. The word Nara refers to the aggregate of all living beings, and the word Ayana refers to the refuge of them all. So this Narayana word, Narayana, has got two parts. Nara and Ayana combines to form Narayana. So Nara means aggregate, the sum total of all living beings. Means Krishna is the shelter of all living beings, that is Nara, and Ayana, refuge, uh, Narayana. Refuge, Ayana means refuge of all living beings. So, these are called payara. In previous payar, means in previous verse you can say in your word, but in Bengal it's called payar. In previous payar, it is established that Krishna is the refuge of all living beings. Therefore, Krishna is Narayana. Here it says Narayana. So in that way, Krishna is that Narayana. Then 39. Atayeb tumi ho mula Narayan. Eka hetu suna dvitiya karam. You are therefore the original Narayan. This is one reason. Please listen as I state the second. So now, by referring to that verse, Narayanastam nahi sarvadehinam atma adhisa. By analyzing this word, adhisa, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is going to explain the second reason why Krishna is Adi Narayana, Mula Narayana. जीवेर ईश्वर पुरुष आदि अवतार तहाँ सवा हईति तुम्हार ऐश्वर्य अपार. The direct lords of the living beings are the Purusha incarnations, but your opulence and power are more exalted than theirs. So it is said. So the second reason is Adhisha. Adhisha means the Lord of the living entity, or creator and maintainer, in that way, Adhisha. That's why Prabhupada, while translating, he says, the direct lords is in applying in plural number, the word Lord. Not instead of saying Lord, he's saying lords. Here, lords means the Karadokshai Vishnu, Garbhodokshai Vishnu, and Kshirodokshai Vishnu. So these three Purusha avatars, they actually create and maintain this universe. This implies that they are direct Lord of all living beings. We know from Mahavishnu, total ingredient is created, and then he glances our Prakriti, then the living entities are injected. So in that way, the living entities are coming from him. He is the direct Lord of the living entities. So that is why it is explained that Tahasava Haitya Tumar Aishwarya Apar. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, your opulence and power are more exalted than theirs, than these Purusha avatars. How it is happening, he is going to explain. अतएव अधीश्वर तुम्ही सर्व पिता तुम्हार शक्ति ते तारा जगत रक्षिता. Therefore, you are the primeval Lord. the original father of everyone. They, the Purushas, are protectors of the universes by your power. So here, Sarva Pita means Krishna is the father of Purusha incarnations. And also all incarnations, not only Purusha incarnations. Actually, Krishna is the father of all incarnations. And Tumar Saktite, that means they become uh, mm, possessor of the energy or power by your power. Tomar Saktite. Huh? So Krishna's opulence is more exalted in that way that the Purusha incarnations, or even we can say later on, today we'll be discussing like Amsa. These Amsas are less powerful than the Mula Purusha, that is Krishna, Swam Bhagavan, Amsi. Krishna is Amsi and Amsa are comparatively less powerful. They possess the power by Krishna's power. So in that way, Krishna is Mula Narayana. Further he says, Narer ayan jate karah palan atayeva hotu me Mula Narayan. Since you protect those who are the shelters of all living beings. Means actually all the Purusha avatars, they are the possessors of the power by Krishna's power. Therefore, Krishna is the shelter of all these Narayanas. So Krishna is original Narayana. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the controlling deities of the living beings in the mundane worlds are the three Purusha avatars. Karanavasai, Garbhodasai and Kshodavasai. But the potency, but the potent energy displayed by Sri Krishna is far more extensive than that of the Purushas. So Krishna is therefore the original Father and Lord who protects all creative manifestations through his various plenary persons. They are called Amsas or Sangs also you can say. Since he sustains even the shelters of the collective living entities, living beings, there is no doubt that Sri Krishna is the original Narayana. You see, you can say, take an example. There is a pot. Pot has some sugar in it, and you are holding the pot. So who is holding the sugar? Who is holding the sugar?
Ultimately, we are holding the sugar.
Huh?
We are holding the sugar. Ultimately, we are holding the pot. You holding the sugar.
Yes. So similarly, the pot has the capacity to hold the sugar, but actually you are holding the pot in your hand. That's how it is kind of in your power it is holding. So in that way, the Narayanas who are actually shelter of the living entities, collective living beings, but Krishna is the sustainer of the Narayana. So in that way, Krishna is Adi Narayana. That is Adhisa. Krishna Adhisa. Then 43, 44 explains. Tritiya Karana Suna Sri Bhagavan Ananta Brahmanda Bahu Vaikunthari Dham Ithe Jata Jivatara Taikalika Karma Taha Dekho Sakshi Tumi Jana Savamarma. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, kindly hear my third reason. There are countless universes and fathomless transcendental Vaikunthas, both in this material world and in the transcendental world. You see all the deeds of all living beings in the past, present, and future. Since you are the witness of all such deeds, you know the essence of everything. Hmm? So starting with pair number 44 until 46, these four pairs explain the third reason to prove Krishna is Mula Narayana. and where the main Sanskrit verse was spoken, Akshara Loka Shakshi. So these four payas going to explain about how Krishna is Akshara Loka Shakshi. That's how he's saying, Ithe jata jeev tar traikalika karma. Traikalika karma means the living entities, they have performed some activities in the past, and they are performing some activities now, and they're going to perform some activities in the future. You are the witness. That means Krishna, as a witness, he understands very well, situated in your heart, that what desire have not yet become manifest in form of a particular karma is lying in your heart. You can actually see it. And any activity performed by the living entities, what will be the resultant karma for that in future, that also Krishna can see it. Actually, mind is situated in the heart. And mind carries the impression we have seen from Bhagavad Gita, Adhisthaya Manaschayam Visayam Pasyavate. So in that way, mind is getting the impression. Impression means you can say Vasana. Vasana means fragrance. You know the word Vasa? This Vasa means Gandha. In Bengali, Vasa means Gandha. So Vasana is a Gandha, this is a smell, right? Just like you being near a flower garden, without touching the flower with your nose, still you can smell the fragrance just by being near it. Similarly, your mind is so fragrant, scaring all this filthy smell, but you are making Krishna to smell all this filthy, fragrance. Krishna is sitting there in your heart, next to your mind, so he can very easily smell what is going on with you. And that's how he's able to see Traikalika karma. So, taha dekho sakshi tumi jana sava marma. So it means you know past, present, and future. What is the next destination for the living entity for their present karma? Everything you know. Very beautifully actually explained here. Krishna's position. Traikalika karma. 45. Tamara darshani sarva jive sarva jagater sthiti তুমি না দেখিলে কারো নাহি স্থিতি গতি. All the worlds exist because you oversee them. None can live, move, or have their being without your supervision. This is also a very interesting philosophy. Actually, Krishna is watching everything. He is directing the wandering of the living entities. Question can be asked, why does Krishna see everything? Traikalika karma, he is seeing past, present, and future of every living entities. Actually, Krishna knows that, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Nahi sthiti gati. Without you, without Krishna's glance, there cannot be existence to anything in this material world. We can see from Queen Kunti's prayer, Kunti Maharani says, Ime janapadashvidha svapoko shariri virudha panadri nartyudannanta yadante tava vikshritai. All these big cities and villages, they flourish with the material opulence. What are those? The rivers are filled with water, trees are filled with fruits, mountains are filled with minerals. So all these opulences are possible because of your beautiful glance, my dear Krishna. It's a very beautiful thing Kunti Maharani is saying. This is our realization. Similarly, we devotees, when we see all these beautiful things are being possible in this world, that is nothing but the beautiful vision of Krishna. And today we can say very confidently that whatever good thing is happening in the world, That is because of the ISKCON devotees, they are chanting Krishna's name, they are speaking the glories of the Lord Krishna, making everybody to hear about Krishna. And by Prabhupada's mercy, today, there is no place in the world where Harinam is not being chanted. In every town, every village, you can say almost, Harinam is being chanted. So this is also a kind of glance of the Supreme Lord. So if Lord's glance is ever present, then we can see all the natural gifts uh, are dependent on the mercy of the Lord. What do we need? We don't need anything else. Whatever is necessary to have a comfortable sustenance, we just need to abide by the principle of Krishna. So in that way, Krishna is watching everything, and if we turn our face towards him, everything will become very, very auspicious. नारेर अयन जाते कर दर्शन ताहाते हो तुनि मूल नारायण. You oversee the wanderings of all living beings. For this reason, also you are the primary Lord Narayana. Prabhupada says, Sri Krishna in his Paramatma feature lives in the hearts of all living beings in both the transcendental and mundane creations. As the Paramatma, the witness all actions the living beings perform in all phases of time, namely past, present, and future. So Krishna knows what the living beings have done for hundreds and thousands of past births, and he sees what they are doing now. Therefore, he knows the result of their present actions that will fructify in the future. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the entire cosmic situation is created as soon as he glances over the material energy. Nothing can exist without the without his superintendence. Since he sees even the abode where the collective living beings rest, he is the original Lord. Then he continues. 47. Krishna kahina brahma tomar nabuji vachan jiva hridi jale vaise sei narayan. So, after hearing Brahma's words, Krishna is asking a question. Krishna is saying, Brahma, you are saying I am Brahma, I am Narayan. Hridi jiva hridi jale vaise. Narayana is residing in the heart of every living entity. That's why he is Narayana, Narayana. And Narayana, another word is, he is actually sleeping in the water all the time. Have you ever seen I am sleeping in water? You have not seen I am sleeping in the water. Why are you saying this? I can't understand. Brahma, I can't understand. Krishna said, Brahma, I can't understand what you are saying. The Narayana is he who sits in the hearts of all living beings and lies down in the waters of the Karna ocean. So why are you telling me it's Narayana? So now Brahma confirms his statement. Brahma kahe jal jive jai Narayan. Brahma replied, what I have said is true. Why? The same Lord Narayana who lives on the water and in the hearts of all living beings, Sesav Tomar Amsa. They are actually your plenary persons. This is the truth. You are saying they are lying in the water, but who they are? They are actually your plenary person. This Karananavar Sai, Garbhodok Sai Vishnu, and Kshirodok Sai Vishnu. Sesav. Sesav means all these Narayan. They are your plenary persons. 49. Karunadhi Garbhodoko Karanadhi Garbhodaka Khirodaka Sai Maya Dware Sushti Kare Tate Savamai. The Karanadaka Garbhodaka Sai and Kshodaka Sai forms of Narayana all create in cooperation with the material energy. In this way, they are attached to Maya. When it is said they are attached to Maya, we should not mistakenly think that they are actually connected, uh, uh, they are actually touching the Maya. No. There might be some connection in this subtle way how they are engaged in creating and maintaining the living entities. But we understand from the Vedic literature that they are not touching the Maya. That's why, because they are the Amsa of Krishna, the plenary person. The Amsa, Samsa also you can say, Samsa or Amsa. How to understand who is Samsa and who is Krishna? In Laghu Bhagavatamrita, it is explained that Tadriso Nyuna Saktim Jo. Krishna's form. When a form of Krishna display uh, the potency which is inferior, Nyuna, inferior to that of Krishna's potency, then Jo Vinakti Samsa. That is called his Samsa. And those are the examples given like quadruple expansions, Sankarsana, Vasudeva, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. They actually, they are the form of Krishna, but it's not different from him because they exhibit less potency. Similarly, Lila avatars, Purusha avatars, Manvantara avatars, Yuga avatars, Lila avatars, they're all actually Shamsa, uh, not different from Krishna, original form, but they actually exhibit less potency. That's why in Brahman Samhita it is said, Deeparchi Devahi Dasantaram Abhyapatya, Dasantara Prapti, original Lord, but they exhibit less potency. Prabhupada gives the example of the bulb you lit in a room. If it is 100 square feet room, you may require 100-watt bulb. If it is 1,000 square feet, then you may need 500 volts halogen to lit it. So similarly, that is what it is happening. So they are Amsa, but they don't touch Maya actually. And they are in connection with Maya, these three Purushas, they create and maintain, but actually Maya is under their control. They are transcendental to Maya. Maya cannot touch them. This is how that's called Mai. Mai means one who is the controller of Maya. He is not controlled by Maya. That's why Tate Sava Mai. All these Purusha incarnations are also Mai. Saitin Jalasai Sarva Antarjami Brahmanda Vindera Atma Jepurushanami. These three Vishnus lying in the water are the super soul of everything. The super soul of all the universes is known as the first Purusha. So now here Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami explains that Karana Narvasai, Karvudoksai, and Kyudoksai Vishnu, they are actually Amsa of Krishna, and how it is happening. So in this connection, in text number 50, he is saying that Saitin Jalasai Sarva Antarjami. We know from Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Karandoksai Vishnu, who creates the universe, and then Garbhodoksai Vishnu, he enters into all the universes, and then Kyudoksai Vishnu, he enters into the heart of every living entity. So in they are actually the super soul, the Purushas of everything created in this world. हिरण्यगर्भेरात्मा गर्भोदकशायी व्यष्टिजीवान्तर्जामे क्षीरोदकशायी. Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is the supersoul of the aggregate of living entities, and Kshirodakshayi Vishnu is the supersoul of each individual living being. Eshabhara darshanete ache maya gandha turiya krishnera nahi maya sambandha. Superficially, we see that these Purusas have a relationship with Maya. But above them, in the fourth dimension, is Lord Krishna, who has no contact with the material energy. Purport. The three Purusas, Karmadokshayi Vishnu, Garbhodokshayi Vishnu, and Kshudokshayi Vishnu, all have a relationship with the material energy called Maya. But through Maya, they create the material cosmos. These three Purusas, who lie on the Karana, Garbho, and Kshira ocean, respectively, are the supersoul of everything that we. Karanadokshayi Vishnu is the supersoul of the collective universes. Garbhodokshayi Vishnu is the supersoul of the collective living beings. And Kshirodakshayi Vishnu is the supersoul of all individual living entities. Because all of them are somehow attracted to the affairs of the material energy, they can be said to have some affection for Maya. But the transcendental position of Lord Sri Krishna himself is not even slightly tinged by Maya. His transcendental state is called Turiya, or the fourth dimensional states. Then, in text number 53, continues. Virat Hiranyagarbhascha Karanam Chetyupadhaya Ishasya Javhihinam Tiriyam Tat Prachakshate. In the material world, the Lord is designated as Virat Hiranyagarbha and Karana. But beyond these three designations, the Lord is ultimately in the fourth dimension. Purport. Virat, the phenomenal manifestation of the supreme whole, Hiranyagarbha, the numinous soul of everything, and Karana, the cause or causal ocean, are all but designations of the Purushas, who are responsible for material creation. The transcendental position surpasses these designations and is therefore called the position of the fourth dimension. And this is a quotation from Sridhar Swami's commentary on the 11th canto, 15th chapter, verse number 16 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then, यद्यपि तिनेरमाया लय्या व्यवहार तथापि तत्स्पर्श नहीं न सभे माया पार. Although these three features of the Lord deal directly with the material energy, none of them are touched by it. They are all beyond illusion. Okay, any question or comment, whatever we have been discussing?
Oh, I have a question on the purport of verse number 37.
Verse number?
37 to read. The first verse we read today.
37, yes, we started with.
Right, Silvu. The individual spirit soul is in the middle of the last paragraph. The individual spirit soul is almost identical to his gross and subtle bodies. I didn't get that too. How identical was totally different composition. Everything's, I know, how's super comparing the gross subtle bodies to individual spirit soul.
The Lord is the reservoir of all cosmic manifestation. animate and inanimate. The advocates of Visishtadvaitavada philosophy explain the Vedanta Sutra by saying that although the living entity has two kinds of bodies, subtle, consisting of mind, intelligence, and false ego, and gross, consisting of five basic elements, and although he thus lives in three bodily dimensions, gross, subtle, and spiritual, he is nevertheless a spiritual soul. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who emanates the material and spiritual worlds, is the Supreme Spirit. As an individual spirit soul is almost identical to his gross and subtle bodies, so the Supreme Lord is almost identical to the material and spiritual worlds. The material world full of conditioned souls trying to load it over matter is a manifestation of the external energy of the Supreme Lord, and the spiritual world full of perfect servitors of the Lord is a manifestation of his internal energy. Okay. So here is saying, as an individual, spirit soul is almost identical to his gross and subtle bodies. So the Supreme Lord is also identical to the material and spiritual worlds. See, here this is how you understand how Krishna is having affection for everything. Krishna is actually a neutral person. This is a kind of an analogy this kind of an analogy explains what happens to the conditioned soul. Conditioned souls are very much attached to their gross and subtle bodies. That's how they're actually identical. I mean, they're identifying so much with this body, mind, and ego. It's just like, there is no difference. That's why many times say, oh, my body is me, actually. We consider the body as us, the Atma. Sometimes that's why in Bhagavad Gita, soul means body, mind, and soul. Okay. Krishna also, he deals with his material energy in such a way that he is actually identifying himself with that, but he is actually separate from it. How he is identifying? Krishna works very closely with this Maya, says Maya Dhakshana Prakti. Without Krishna's direction, he is not working. But when it comes to spiritual energy, Krishna actually, he personally gets involved. While dealing with external energy, he is not directly dealing, but his Amsa, like Vishnu Amsa, they are dealing. So in that, there is indirect connection, but sometimes it has been said like that, as good as he is identical. But with his internal potency, Krishna actually has Swarup Shakti. And with this Swarup Shakti, he is doing everything in the spiritual world. With external energy, he is doing everything in the material world. In that way, like you are using your body, mind, and ego to do everything. That's why you are identical with your body, mind, and actually Krishna is not identifying with the external energy as we identify with the body, but in connection with how we are using our body, mind, and ego, similarly how Krishna is using his internal energy and external energy, that is how he is identical in that sense.
Mrs. Booth, thank you so much, Ruby.
Okay, looks like there is no other comment.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna
Mataji. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so much for the wonderful lecture. This lecture really got us thinking so much about the differences between Krishna and Narayana in a more detailed and a finer way. So I have a question over here. When Krishna came on the earth planet in Vrindavan, he was dealing with so many other individuals. So can we say in some ways that he was in contact with Maya Shakti because he was dealing with people, living beings?
Like, can you just give us some more clear example?
As in, like when he was dealing with Arjun, and then he was dealing with all the other Pandavas, the Kauravas, everybody, because they could not see Krishna as the personality of Godhead, right? I'm talking about like um Duryodhan and the other people, right? They could not see it. They did not identify him as a personality of Godhead. So they were definitely in the on a material plane, right?
Okay, so
So here we are saying that Krishna has no contact with the material energy of Maya, whereas Vishnu does. That was the explanation given among the three Vishnus, right? Purusha avatars, they have that. But Krishna is in that way in
okay,
contact with. I mean,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
my
How?
confusion there.
Okay, okay. First of all, before I respond, read the translation of text number 54, Mataji.
54, okay. Um, Although these three features of the Lord deal directly with the material energy, none of them are touched by it. They are all beyond illusion.
Okay, this is a fact. Now, in to understand how this is a fact, now it is creating a confusion. Krishna, he comes to the distance of this world. It looks like he's dealing with all this, Duryodhana and others. So how is that he's not touched? He's not, he's not touched by them. Now I'll give you an example. Okay, uh,
Yes.
father, he wants his son to be rectified, and because son has become a drug addict, and what father is doing? Is sending the son to the rehabilitation center, right? And where another person is there, sometimes they actually beat the boy. They torture very heavily. His father is doing this.
Mm, no. I mean,
His father is doing this.
he's sent him there, so yes, in one way,
Yes. Why?
indirectly.
Why he's doing this? He is indirectly doing it. Very good. You got it. He's indirectly doing. Why he is doing it?
Because if he had not sent him there, that wouldn't happen, right? So he's the cause in one way.
No, no. Why? Why he's doing this? Why
Oh, for
he's
his
sending?
improvement, for his improvement, for him to
Ah,
come out.
for the
Okay.
rectification.
Hmm.
Okay. So similarly, Krishna uses Maya. He's not directly involved because we are stubborn. We don't want to kind of listen to him. So what can he do? So Krishna has to sometimes use some external agency to teach us through the hard way. That's how Krishna is dealing. And when the same son, after he, is cured of his madness and returns back home from the rehabilitation center, the same father, he takes care of the son so nicely. He is making him the owner of the 1,000 crore property. My dear son, now everything belongs to you. So similarly, when we just listen to Krishna's program, and Krishna also he gives whole entire creation, entire world to you. My dear son, just take care. He gave like a whole world, earth planet to Prabhupada. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, just take everything on behalf of me. You do whatever. I have a lot of business to do in Vrindavan. I want to herd the cows and drink the milk there. I have nothing to do with this. You go and take care. He gave the whole world to Prabhupada.
Hmm.
Similarly, Krishna can give whole world also. Be a nice
Okay.
child of Krishna, obedient child.
Hmm. I am Prabhuji, I got the answer, but I'm trying to be convinced about the fact that Mahavishnu, Shirodakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, all three are like over here today we read that they have contact with Maya, right? And Krishna does not. So
Okay.
I'm trying to get that distinction.
Yeah, they are in contact with Maya means actually indirectly they are dealing with Maya. Although these three features of Lord deal directly with the material energy, none of them are touched by it. Directly dealing means they are not touched. That means in one way they are actually indirectly dealing. Or you can say, because Krishna is not dealing, they are dealing, in that way they are directly dealing. They are not touched by Maya.
So here when we're talking about Maya, are we talking about just like the non-living cosmic manifestation? Is because Shirodaksha Vishnu stays in the heart, right? In the living entity, with the living entity. I mean, as you would call it, right? So
he is
that's
not
the context.
he is not an object of this material world, Mataji. You should know this.
Yes.
Just like the water float on the lotus leaf. Water is there, but it is not touching the leaf. What is the problem for Krishna to remain in the heart of the living entity without getting touched by the Maya? He cannot do that. That's his energy. He can use it the way he wants. That's not a big deal. Don't worry about that.
Okay. So they're not touched by it. That I agree, because they are not affected. They are still spiritual, and I mean, like the Vishnus will still stay spiritual. They have got nothing to do with Maya or material energy, correct? But then they're in contact with Maya, whereas Krishna is not.
Forget about Krishna. You are not actually touched by Maya. You should know this also. The moment you decide, you identify with your false ego and you want to kind of look at it, then you are actually touched by it. In fact, in Swarupa, the jivas are also not touched by Maya in their pure form. You understand? Jiva being part and parcel of Krishna, in their pure spiritual form, they are untouched by Maya. Like there are so many, pure souls, pure devotees of the Lord, they are in this world. Maya cannot touch them actually. They know how to stay away from the external energy. That Shakti is given to them by Krishna. So if a conditioned soul, after getting purified through sadhana, Krishna says, no, actually, like last time we discussed in Bhagavatam class, see, when Narad Muni, after meditation, he got darshan of the Lord, and then just to increase Narad Muni's attachment towards him, Lord disappeared. And then he spoke from the sky. He said, Mat kama sanakai sadhu sarvan munchanti hrichayam. Lord says, this hrichaya, the desire for material objects, are lying in the heart of the living entities. That is called hrichaya, lust, desire. Okay. Then Krishna said to Narad, said, Mat kama sanakai sadhu. When one desires me, only me, not kama, then what happens? Sanakai, sadhu, he's saying, oh Narada, you are such a great soul. You are very pure. So when somebody desires only me, then gradually all the contaminations of the heart is dissipated. That means they are being freed from the touch of Maya. Krishna is saying this. It's possible, Mataji.
Okay. So, Prabhuji, if we look at translation of verse 49, in the last line, second line, it says, in this way they're attached to Maya. So, how do we understand?
Why don't you see translation to 54?
That is like jumping ahead, yes, but...
None of them are touched by it, by Maya. Okay, they are not. Vishnu is actually Maya. Is not. This is not Mayadhin. Mai. Mainam to Maheshwara. Okay.
Thank
Don't
you,
worry. You just spend some time, you read again, you learn it. It will go into the head after some time. It requires some kind of clearance. There are a lot of blockages on the way. So you just meditate, it will get clear in you. It will sink in you.
Yes, Prabhuji, I'll try. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, dear devotees, thank you very much. We will conclude our session here today. So we have covered until 54. right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes. So we'll start from 55 in our next class.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Ram.
कृपा सिंधु पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो
अनंत कोटि की जय।